BU.S is selling 69,370 Bitcoin. Yeah, you heard that right. This is no joke. This is no April Fool's joke. El Salvador President Nayib Bukele even makes fun of the USA and says that there will now be really cheap entry-level courses again. He's excited about the massive sell-off that's being announced now. From some sources, it's even suggested that these Bitcoin are already gone and are no longer sitting in the wallet. From some sources, it can even be gathered here that these Bitcoin are already gone and are no longer sitting in the wallet. You can also see that at the wallet address, that the Bitcoin have already been moved. And some indications even suggest that the Bitcoin are already gone and sold. This is a real shocker, something that's very, very unexpected. But I actually made a video about this not too long ago, that Biden will try everything to undermine Donald Trump and his Bitcoin plan. And this is exactly how it looks right now, with Biden trying everything to throw a wrench in Donald Trump's plans. Very, very important, all the information you're hearing right now is completely unfiltered. I saw the news just a few minutes or half an hour ago. I did some research online. There are some really crazy things happening here. If anything new comes up, any hot news, I'll write it down for you in the comments below. But it's actually being reported that a federal court has approved the US government to sell 69,370 Bitcoin worth $6.5 billion. Can you believe that? The ones they seized from Silk Road, Bitcoin, worth $6.5 billion has been approved. Check this out, the ones they seized from Silk Road. So we're talking about the Silk Road Bitcoin, the confiscated Bitcoin. The Justice Department hasn't released any details about the timing or method of the sale. So that's the first report that we're here, that the Bitcoin are being sold. But there aren't any more specific details yet. Whether these Bitcoins are sold now, if they have already been sold, or how they will be sold. Whether it's going to be sold all at once, bam, or if it's going to be sold over a longer period. It could actually be that the US is making a similar move to Germany now. We'll also take a look at the reasons shortly, because there's actually an official statement on this, where they're also talking about it. Why are they selling Bitcoin now? Bitcoin is being sold. This is an absolute disaster. That's going on right now. I mean, Donald Trump wants to build a strategic Bitcoin reserve here. And now they're selling almost 70,000 Bitcoin. That makes absolutely no sense at all. But it might actually fit both governments. That they're basically doing things here just to hurt Donald Trump. I mean, for the Bitcoin price, you could say, okay, then more liquidity is coming into the market, and then there will be cheaper Bitcoins again. But it could actually be that the Bitcoins have already been sold here, although I actually don't have any exact information at the time of this video. Let's take a look at that. There is indeed a confirmation from Marty Party. He's the one who always posts a lot of news about Bitcoin. He says, update, the Bitcoins would be sold here on January 8th. And if you actually take a look at Arkham Intelligence and check out the US wallet, January, all sold. And if you actually take a look at Arkham Intelligence and check out the US wallet, then you can actually see that the balance is at $0. Or what I really mean is it's at 0 Bitcoin, to be honest. You can see here that all the Bitcoins have basically been withdrawn. That doesn't necessarily have to be the case. That the Bitcoins are now sold. Could also be that they've been moved to an OTC desk or transferred to some exchange or whatever. Because the Bitcoin price hasn't crashed massively. Or something like that. But if that's true, then the Bitcoins would be sold here throughout the day. But that seems a bit crazy to me because if somehow 70,000, if Bitcoins were sold, then the Bitcoin price would probably be corrected downwards a lot more. From that perspective, I'm not so sure. Someone is also writing down below. It's really, really strange that this chart shows a balance of 0 Bitcoin. But on the same page, it still shows 6.5 billion. So it could also be a display error. That the dollar amount here is actually correct. But the Bitcoin amount is just wrong. So it's very, very mysterious what's going on here. It might be that when the video is out, that there might already be more accurate information here. They're probably checking this every minute now. What updates do we have here? Around the Bitcoin sale here in the U.S. I'm recording this video now at 4:33 German time. Time's up, so this is really, really explosive. I was actually just about to go to sleep. I just saw this shocking news and had to make another video right away. Hit like and subscribe so we can gain traction to spread Bitcoin message. US selling Bitcoin is an opportunity to adjust more Bitcoin here, and the Bitcoin message gets out there. Because when the US sells Bitcoin, it's definitely an opportunity to really adjust more Bitcoin here, to bring it to the small investors. That's also the big criticism. When all the nation states and so on get involved and all the nation states come to Bitcoin, the US, China, whoever else gets involved, then the little guys here won't have any Bitcoin left. But hey, those follow-ups, those reversals when here. Germany sells Bitcoin when the US sells Bitcoin. You can use that now to jump in here. Why should we wait here until the strategic Bitcoin reserve comes, right? These are some awesome opportunities to stock up on Bitcoin again. On the other hand, if it's really true about the sale, and here we actually have the complete 70,000, Bitcoin is on its way around 70,000 Bitcoin, then that would be totally crazy that the Bitcoin price has stayed so stable here. But honestly, I still can't quite wrap my head around it here, that all the Bitcoin is already gone. It was also mentioned earlier in the official statement that the plan and the exact details to that date for the sale, because it's still going to be released or announced that the Department of Justice has cleared the Bitcoin for sale. But we haven't heard any, let's say, green light from the Department of Justice that the Bitcoin is gone now, and there's no timeline either. Because usually there's some kind of timeline or something like, for example, they say they're selling it over 5 months or 3 months or something like that. It wouldn't make any sense at all to just dump it all on the market in one go. So that wouldn't make any sense at all. That actually speaks against it a lot. That it happens is one thing, but who knows, maybe it really did happen. Normally, you want to generate a good price. If you just take everything off the market, then you create slippage here. That means you don't get the best selling price here. Germany actually sold the Bitcoin way too quickly. Could have gotten much better prices here if they had sold here more slowly. President Nayib Bukele from El Salvador is actually saying, maybe we'll all get a big discount to buy Bitcoin again. Nayib Bukele bought some earlier. 11 Bitcoin bought, and now he has, I think, around 8,000 Bitcoin or so. I'm not really sure. That's around 7,000, 8,000, something like that. For sure, Nayib Bukele wants to keep stacking up with El Salvador. He's making fun of the USA, and of course, he also poked fun at Germany. And now we're taking a closer look at the news. What exactly is being said here by the Department of Justice, the Justice Department? That's basically what the news is saying. A federal judge ruled on 30 December that the Department of Justice can sell 69,370 Bitcoin. So we see that this has already happened in the past. Can sell Bitcoin. So we see that this has already happened in the past. That were seized from the Silk Road darknet marketplace. So that means they have the approval to sell. But there's nothing mentioned here that the Bitcoin has already been sold. A years-long property dispute over the seized Bitcoin ended after the battle. Born investment, he had lost his attempt to delay the sale. The group had claimed ownership in a bankruptcy case and recently lost a related case, in which the identity of individual X is supposed to be revealed. So that's basically it here. Details, we really don't need to get into that too much. These are basically related to the Silk Road case. All the details, like how all of this came about and so on. Of course, all of this wasn't quite right. And now we basically have the confiscated coins here, which is also important. Here, these are confiscated coins. There are always people who say, for example, that it would be immoral to convert the confiscated coins into a strategic Bitcoin reserve, because these are also coins that still belong to someone on the other side, or where someone still has a legal claim or something like that on them. But now it's getting really, really explosive, because now we're getting to the really important statements. The Department of Justice cited the price volatility of Bitcoin as a reason to apply for approval to sell the assets. So this is really, really important. So exactly the same reasons that were also here in Germany back then, or rather, I always have to say Saxony, otherwise the know-it-alls come at me and say, no, Germany didn't sell, but the state of Saxony sold. Back then, it was also stated, because Bitcoin is too volatile. Do we have to do a panic sale now? And the funniest thing is, the German Bitcoins have been sold, but the euro holdings, or you probably have this euro, they still haven't been released. So that means the money is just sitting there going to waste. Inflation is just going through the roof, and the exact same justifications, the exact same mistakes that are being made here in Germany are now being made here in the U.S. But in Germany, it was probably ignorance. In the US, it could even be the case that this is negligent behavior, or that it might even be deliberate manipulation by the Trump administration. I don't want to go too far here. I don't want to stick my neck out here. These are all just assumptions here. I have to honestly say that. I don't want to accuse anyone of anything. But it's pretty obvious. No normal person would actually sell Bitcoin here now. Volatility is irrelevant. Long-term holders ignore it. If you hold Bitcoin long-term, then the short-term volatility doesn't matter at all. And they've already held onto those Silk Road Bitcoins for so long. And now they're pulling out an argument like that. Yeah, right, the volatility would be too crazy. Well, it's funny that you're realizing this now, after we've already held onto the Bitcoin for a few years. And I don't know how long they've been holding onto the Bitcoin here, but anyway, they're citing Bitcoin's price volatility as the reason. to apply for the sale of the assets. Here, when asked about the next steps, the spokesperson from the Department of Justice says, well, you can see that things have really started happening here. He goes on to say, the government will proceed in accordance with the ruling in this case. The seized Bitcoin currently has an estimated value of 6.5 billion. He says here, the government will proceed in accordance with the ruling in this case. The seized Bitcoin currently has an estimated value of 6.5 billion. So here's the official statement. The government will proceed in accordance with the ruling in this case. What's that supposed to mean? You can read into that. I have no idea. Basically, it means that the future details or the ongoing details will still be released. Right now, there aren't all the details about this case. They will be released later. That means how the sales plan will go and what exactly happens next. But it's definitely a strong blow against the Trump administration. So, you'd think that Donald Trump is always in competition with China, with Russia, and with other countries that then front-run the strategic Bitcoin reserve here. There were rumors that the United Arab Emirates would pay for 0.0000. They bought Bitcoin. But if we're being really honest, it's just wrecking their own country. Different political factions are begging for attention here. And we don't have an international war, but rather an internal conflict. We have something like a civil war. That's quite a bold statement. You definitely have to pull back a bit. But it's like they're just destroying themselves. Instead of strengthening themselves against other nations, they're just kind of wrecking themselves. Whether that's out of envy or power struggles. It's like they're just wrecking themselves. Whether it's about envy debates or power struggles. I'm not exactly sure what that's about. Actually, someone just added to this. The US government is selling a third of its 200,000 Bitcoin before Trump's inauguration. We know that now. And now here comes the kicker. This is a catastrophic geopolitical mistake. Russia and China are gaining the upper hand, while the US Congress is arguing and delaying a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is an act of war, and it's really crazy. Here they're talking about war, but not an external war, rather an internal war. Trump versus Biden, all the Elizabeth Warrens, and whatever they call all those people from the anti-crypto camp. I actually have a video too, I don't know, was it 3? Can you take a look? I definitely made several videos. Can you take a look? I definitely made several videos. You can see how the Democratic camp is really going after Bitcoin. And here, they're still trying to systematically manipulate Donald Trump even after the election. And here, people really can't stand that he's the new president. He is now the elected president. We shouldn't throw more obstacles in the way now. You have to accept that now. That's just how it is. If you're going to act like a Democrat and whatever else, at least you have to make a democratic decision here. Accept it and don't throw any more obstacles in the way. That brings the whole country. Then don't do anything. It doesn't really matter to us. Because now it's basically more Bitcoin for us. If this really goes through, and the purchase happens, or if it's already happening in parts. It could also be that partial Bitcoins are already being sold here. There are now a few people who have marked that on the chart. Yes, maybe on the 8th. January could have been when the dip happened in the USA. There are also a few people who speculate that it could have happened earlier. That was already sometime in December, where it was announced. Maybe they secretly sold it already. But those are all just speculations. Now, confirmed. Official news here. We really have to wait and see now. I'm sure a lot will be published throughout the day. And the crazy thing is, before I recorded this video, I actually recorded another video. Why the Federal Reserve doesn't want Bitcoin. There were some really exciting revelations. But I actually need to summarize that in another video. Actually, the video has already been recorded. Actually, I wanted to do that yesterday. Actually, I wanted to do that tomorrow. Or rather, I need it today. I was planning to publish that video. However, some explosive things have happened here. So I probably have to push the release back by another day. But what's being published here is also another huge shock. It's not just that Biden is battling against Trump here, but it's also the Federal Reserve. That's going up against Trump. But we'll take a look at that in the next video. So it's extremely explosive, and here's my big recommendation for you. If you want to hold Bitcoin yourself, to store it yourself. If you want, then I'll put a link down below to a TREZOR hardware wallet, how you can easily hold Bitcoin. So you're not dependent on any state here, not dependent on an ETF. And that's really important right now, that you can be self-sufficient here, especially in such uncertain times. And that's why I absolutely recommend this. Here, with the code Bitcoin Hotel, you can still get up to 10% off on a TREZOR hardware wallet. Also, a total recommendation. 21 Bitcoin, the easiest way to buy Bitcoin in Europe. Here you can also get it with the code Bitcoin Hotel. Bitcoin Hotel, still up to 20% off the fees when buying Bitcoin. I'm already sweating. It's really like, I don't know, 10 p.m. for me right now. It's really nighttime for me now, but this has got me sweating again. All the research and what's going on here in the USA. Let me know what you think about that. See you later. Peace out.